afternoon. Not even good morning. Good afternoon, Pinstripe Chronicles. See, you're not the only one that has issues. But I am Uncle Tats. We are here with Donald. Joining us today is our good friend, BlueJaysDad on Twitter. BlueJaysDad, how have you been? It's been so long since you joined us.
Yeah, I've been doing really well, living here in Bloomington, Minnesota, and it was great to be on your show before, and I'm happy to be on the show today, especially with what's going on between the Jays and the Yankees in the past 24 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be what's going on, Jay? What's going on, Jonathan? I'm looking forward to you guys in the chat today. Let's get this out of the way because we had already had this plan before you put your tweet out with Aaron Judge. And we're going to pull this up right now, okay? So you had put this tweet out about Aaron Judge. Did you really think that there was any type of scandal to really be had? Or as a Blue Jays fan, you're just kind of defending your fan base?
I just think it's just fun to put it out there. I know that our commentators brought it up. Also, like our Sportsnet guys. So we have a couple of former catchers, major league catchers, that are part of our broadcast team. And they both brought up seeing Judge's eyes move. And so I just thought it would be funny, the old, years ago, the tweet about find someone that looks at you the way that blah, blah, blah. And just the movement of his eyes. And, I don't think there's anything illegal or unethical going on. I do think there's a chance that maybe he's taken a peek at where Kirk is. I know Yankees fans are passionate and most of you are smart, but some of you don't understand peripheral vision.
Yeah, that was one of your other tweets. Donald, what did you think about this whole situation with Judge? Do you think that he was telling the truth?
Do I think that Aaron Judge is telling the truth? Of course, Aaron Judge is telling the truth. Pull up that tweet again. Look at his eyes. Look at his facial expression. Look at his facial expression, right? He looks actually kind of pissed off. Do you know why? Because he actually said on the Yes Network that he was kind of annoyed at the Yankee bench continually to chirp. And Aaron Boone was already tossed. And he was like, let's get on with the game. So he was looking at his bench to see all the chirping. That's the reason why he looked over there. And this idea that he needs to look where the catcher is so stupid because the guy threw 6 straight sliders. How much more of a tip does he need? That was a hanging slider to the best player in baseball. Give me a freaking break. There's absolutely no conversation to have about Aaron Judge needing any help or assistance. The guy hit 60 home runs last year. How much assistance does he need, for crying out loud? He doesn't need to look at where the catcher is. The guy threw a hanging slider. He could do it blindfolded. He could have hit a home run 600 feet. So it's just nonsense. But I mean, when he was asked about it, that is the perfect. I don't know if you watched that interview, Blue Jays Dad. Yeah. So he actually was genuinely confused why he was asked about it. He was like, "What? What are you referring to?" Like if that was a situation where he was trying to hide something, do you think he'd be genuinely confused like that? No, of course not. He'd be trying to think of a way out of it. But no, he was just genuinely like, "What? No, I'm just looking at my bench, trying to work out why we keep chirping all the time at a 6-0 game." That's what he just wanted. He was like, "Come on, let's play ball. I've got things to do." Right?
So does it fit in that Aaron Boone wasn't he just tossed just before
in the same at bat? That's why he was pissed. There's nothing to do with him trying to gain an advantage. There's no reason for him to gain an advantage. He's the best player in baseball.
I mean, that ball, that strike that was called was 6 inches below the zone. Which is what sparked the whole thing. But let's be honest with each other as Yankee and Blue Jays fans here. The umpire behind the plate yesterday was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's something that we can come together on.
Absolutely. Yeah, there were a lot of calls missed going both ways. So definitely, I thought that our pitching coach, Pete Walker, was going to be the first one to walk back to the dugout or back to the club. He was pretty upset. And then the look on his face I don't know if they did this on Yes or not, but they did it on the Sportsnet telecast. When Boone was getting tossed, they went over to Pete Walker, our pitching coach, and zoomed in on him. And he had that grin where you could tell he was thinking it should have been him that was being tossed. And maybe that was a part of why Aaron Boone was so mad, is because the Jays were chirping, I felt, more than the Yankees were.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot of back and forth between the dugouts and the home plate arm. I mean, he was really. There was one pitch on Kirk that was clearly in the zone, called for a ball. I think that was the half inning before the judge got thrown out. So yeah, it was just a matter of, and I know I saw what you were referenced to with the Sportsnet broadcast. It was almost that look like, wow, better him than me, type of look, because it was just a matter of time before somebody on the bench got ejected from screaming at the ump, and he had such a short hook to begin with, but you even saw, when you're looking at a player like Judge, you're looking at him from the outside. The way he was trying to compose himself, where he even puts his hand out, trying to tell everybody to calm down. Look, it is what it is. The bat is still alive. Let me just go about my business. Is that more of what we need in this league, where you have players stepping up and just trying to even keep their coaches coaches at bay?
Yeah, it's interesting if that's the case. I mean, I always think Aaron Boone, like, it's just theatrics, man. Like, as an opposing fan, it's just fun to watch him go off and have his moments. But, I guess if you take Aaron Judge at his word, I think Aaron Judge is a stand-up guy and all that.
Yeah.
Then yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that's because the game has changed quite a bit in the past few years, and wondering if that is a change we're going to see.
Yeah, I've been on your show before, and I had stated that one of my favorite non-Yankees has been Vlad Jr. And how would you explain to non-Jays fans the acceptance of Vlad Jr.'s antics towards the opposition and his attitude towards the Yankees?
Yeah, so he went on record to say that he would never sign with the Yankees. Is that what you're referring to?
Yep.
And then the talk of the trailer and the movie and all that.
He seems to put his foot in his mouth a lot.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of passion for the game, a lot of, he's an extrovert, something, that my kids have noticed about him when we've seen the Jays play live in Kansas City or here in Minneapolis, is that Vladdy is always talking with someone. Like he's going around talking to everybody. And so he's that kind of guy. I think the issue with the Yankees and not signing with them is like good news for Jays fans. Like we breathe this sigh of relief hearing that. At the same time, he did mention it has something to do with his dad, like with his family.
Yeah.
And so no one really knows the details on that. But as Jays fans, we respect it that he doesn't want to sign with the Yankees. That's at least only 28 more teams to deal with.
I know that Brian Cashman really wanted Vladimir Guerrero Sr., but
he was overruled by on that.
But the owner wanted Gary Sheffield.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, it was a matter of when his father and Sheffield were both available. Cashman wanted Senior, and the ownership group wanted Sheffield.
Wow.
So that's where the bitterness started.
Personally, I think Sheffield is a better fit for New York.
You know what it is? Because I always liked Vlad Guerrero. I thought he, growing up watching him, he was one of those you couldn't hate on him because he played the game so well. You could just see that he was still an adult kid playing a kid's game. And I think that Junior is kind of, taking that mantle from his father, because he'll throw out his antics. You saw that slide at the second, which seemed to take forever, by the way. but and he's giving the hand gestures. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. And you kind of need that in the game nowadays. You're kind of losing that. I kind of like. I like that he's embracing the role of the villain.
Yeah, for Jays fans, that's just so odd to us because he is obviously the life of the team, the personality of the team. But there's been a lot of now talk between the Yankees and Vladdy's talk that he's been doing. So it's entertaining to say the least.
I think it's great for baseball. Actually, I kind of like that. There's not enough rivalry for one, in the league, and there's too many nice guys.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that Vlad tries to get under other teams' skins, including the Yankees. I like that, because the Red Sox players live to do that back in the time where the Yankees were the evil empire, quote unquote, and the Red Sox tried to be the complete opposite and be the kind of jackasses or whatever they called themselves, and there was that kind of rivalry and it was fun. And Vlad's bringing it back. Great. I think it's great. And I love Vlad, watching Vlad. And I think his compact swing is actually better than his dad's even. Because his dad's swing was really wild, but it worked. He was phenomenal, don't get me wrong. But I think his son's got a more compact swing. And it'll help him hit for average and power for a long, long time in his career. I love watching him play. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the game.
We've seen some stats on our broadcast that have shown basically Vladdy Sr. and Jr. are on the exact same pace.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, like down to the percentage point.
Yeah, if you get a chance, Donald, if I would have even thought of it, I would have had the stats up. But yeah, it's very similar between the two. Well, when you think about some of the great rivalries in the AL East, and you're thinking of now with the Yankees with Vlad Jr., it's kind of refreshing to know that there are still players that kind of have that old school dog in them. Because we haven't had this since David Ortiz, and he tortured both our teams. When you have those guys that can have all the trash talk, but also have the skills to back up what they're saying.
Right.
It's one thing for somebody to just say, we have all the trash talk, the locker room, all that. And they're kind of subpar players where it's like you're not taken seriously. The fact that we get so worked up over Vlad because we know that he can hurt us at any moment, almost like a Bautista, is another good villain of the Yankees.
True.
How much does that highlight this rivalry in the AL East and the toughness of it?
Yeah, I think that the Jays don't take the Yankees for granted at all. I think it's that's who you want to beat. We had our way with the Red Sox last year, which we just got swept in Fenway last week, so that's not anything to brag about. But and then I think just the way the Jays have handled themselves in Yankee Stadium has shown that they consider themselves peers now and not up. And so yeah, that's I think it's an important part to have those personalities that can be backed up by the performance. Alek Manoah, he was like that, the last couple of years. And then this season he's really struggling. But remember,
good segue. What is going on with Manoah? Why does he look like he's eating an elephant, for one? And what's going on with his slider? Because David Cohn really picked up on the fact that his slider has lost about a couple of inches of dip on his pitches, and there's not as much rotation, and there's just something not right. Obviously, the velocity is there, but there's just not enough movement, and it's quite significant, even for the analytics guys like David Cohn. So how would you assess what's going on in him, and why is he put on so much weight?
I would just say for his performance, it's just inconsistency. I think it's mechanical. With bigger guys, there's more going on. We've heard that cliche for a long, long time, but it seems to be true in this case. Also, like, he's a high intensity guy. He's very emotional, as you know, from what he says and how he handles himself on the field. And I think just a little bit of inconsistency, maybe mechanical stuff. He might be in his own head to the point where he's overthrowing, and he's not just trusting his stuff. And so he's thrown some good pitches. It's not like he's lost the ability to throw his slider. He's lost the ability to throw it consistently in a good way. But I would still say, I didn't see the interview that someone did today, but people are talking about, hey, stop sending him out there. You can't keep sending him out there. Well, spoiler alert, the Jays have zero depth in the starting rotation. I mean, I don't even know who they would go to besides bullpen days if they took Manoah out of the starting rotation. So I think he's going to stay there and work out the issues. And I hope it's not an undisclosed injury. My biggest worry is that, he's got this. Number one, he's not telling the coaching staff. I don't think that. I think more likely is he's maybe, if it is an injury thing, it would be that they all know about it, but he's pitching through it to see if he can get through.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it might be a slight injury or just a little discomfort that he's trying to pitch through, because we've seen him pitch against us before and he's lethal towards us. So to light him up, we didn't, believe me, this offense, as well as it's been playing in the last week, we're not clicking on all cylinders to automatically, to out of nowhere figure him out. So it is something that I think that, from your fan base's point of view, you need to take a little, a deeper look into to find out what's wrong with Alek Manoah, because he is one of the premier pitchers in the game right now. Let's not deny that. So when you're starting to lose some of these guys, as much as it benefits our team, you do hate to see it.
Let's do a quick roll call. We've got D-Rod, who's welcoming you there, Blue Jays Dad. What is up, fellas? Let's do a roll call here. FJ, what is up, my guy? Pitchers need to give Vlad Jr. some uncomfortable at-bats. That is some old-school baseball. That's true. I would like to see Roger Clemens type pitching where you go up and in on someone just to get him off the plate a little bit. That's old school, and I agree with that. Yeah. L.I. Yankee King, what is up, my guy? Good to see Jonathan. Good to see you. And D-Rod's got a question. Oh, we've got Sunil. What is up?
Sunil
walk the line and Red Hot Chili for giving away on repeat. Really smart. I love that. Really smart. Okay, got a question here from D-Rod. Please ask Blue Jays Dad why the Jays players are whining little babies. That is a great question.
Okay, which
Blue Jays Dad, why are Blue Jays players such whining little babies?
Which ones?
How long have you got?
No, I don't think it's a matter of, it's not so much the.
Hey, the question was for Blue Jays Dad, Tats. Don't jump in on him.
Well, I think the Jays do. They, like Vladdy, it's something that goes back to his family and, his personality and competitiveness. I don't know that I would call it whiny. I think Bo Bichette usually goes about his business. I don't think he says a whole lot. We've already talked about Alek Manoah. He's not one of the hitters, but he's, he talks. He's passionate. So yeah, I don't know anyone else. I think the team overall is carrying itself better this year when it comes to maturity with guys like Whit Merrifield, who I just love.
I love Whit Merrifield.
Yeah. He's all business, serious all the time, but a great teammate. Brandon Belt, I'm not as big on, but he's brought some maturity to the team. I think the Jays do have something to prove.
Also ask, who the hell hired Buck Martinez and Dan Shulman to announce these games? They were not spot on with reference to Judge supposedly cheating. It's a great point. What do you think?
Well, I think Buck has a lot of experience as a major league catcher and as a broadcaster. So I think if he sees something, there could be something to it. Dan Schulman, he's the one that brought it up, and he made the point he didn't want to accuse anybody of anything. But it was just the first time that they had seen that kind of eye movement. And so if Judge is telling the truth and he's not spinning it somehow, then that makes kind of sense.
Can I just say that, though, when Schulman says, "Oh, I don't want to cast aspersions about an organization, but," that old famous "but" is tells the whole story. You know what I mean? I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm about to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what Dan Schulman just did right there.
The wrong way.
Yeah, I'm not going to cast massive excursions with. Yeah, I'm not going to cast massive excursions without any proof, but I am.
Yeah, I like this question here from D-Rod. We were talking about Manoah, and do you think it's the pitch clock?
Yeah, he was one of the longest in the league last year between pitches. So some think it's just the tempo of the game is getting to him when it comes to just his flow and his approach on the mound. So that could be an issue too. But I think it's more than that.
Because when we talked a month ago on your show, that was something that we had brought up. Was the effects of the pitch clock, and Manoah was one of those guys that you would alarm for, saying that if anybody's going to be affected, it would be him. And it seems like you saw your worries have become a reality.
Yeah, but I think that by this time, pitchers should have figured it out if that's the issue. I think it's bigger than that for him. I do think it's mechanical and that he's more in his head, and he's comparing himself right now to his last 2 years where he was pitching at an elite level, and now he's struggling, and it's his first time struggling at the major league level. And we all know what that makes or breaks a major leaguer, right? I remember someone saying, one major league player, might have been Aaron Hill or someone, had said, it's hard to make it to the major leagues. It's even harder to stick in the major leagues.
Yeah.
And I think that's all these guys, they come up through the system, and since little league, they're the number one player. And so when they finally struggle and it happens at the major league level, that's where the proof of the pudding is in its eating.
We've got a breaking tweet here regarding Aaron Judge. His thoughts on the cheating scandal. Let's share the screen. Okay. Aaron Judge said that he has some choice words about the Blue Jays broadcaster insinuating that he was cheating. He declined to share them. I'm not happy about it, but people can say what they want. I've still got a game to play. I've got things to do. First of all, your thoughts, Blue Jays Dad.
Well, I'm disappointed he didn't reference my tweet. Yeah, I think that you got to be careful with what you say these days because everybody's following everything. So now you got a little bit of heat between Aaron Judge and the Blue Jays broadcast booth. That's pretty entertaining.
We've got Keegan Matheson. The Blue Jays spoke with the league this morning. My God, they are not taking this line down, whatever it is that they're doing. At this point, Toronto seems to be taking issues with where New York's bases coaches were positioned, which contradicts Judge's answer post-game. Oh, Keegan Matheson trying to stir the pot here, Blue Jays reporter for MLB.com. Okay, well, I'll once again, Blue Jays Dad, what are your thoughts on that?
I guess he wants in on the action.
It's stirring the pot here. All kinds of things
I don't understand. It's not like we're playing at home where we're able to even set something up. It goes to the old school. If a runner notices something and taps their leg a certain way, there's, like you said earlier yourself, it's not like they did anything, malicious or unethical. If they were able to figure something out, then who cares? Maybe like one of our comments earlier on, it's up to the catcher to protect his signs at the same time.
Oh, yeah. And that the Jays broadcast brought up later, Joe Siddall, a former major league catcher, he said that Kirk was sitting there for about 5 or 6 seconds in the position where in the location the ball was coming. Also, I'm not against guys on the field picking up signs and communicating. I think that's a great way to play ball.
Yeah, it's it just doesn't if we were at home and these allegations were coming out, I think maybe there'd be some validity to it. But at the same time, it's not like nobody has taken the time so far to go back and watch every Aaron Judge at bat to see where his eyes are.
Well, some guy on Twitter said he did. I don't know how he did it in a couple hours, but he said he looked for it and he went through everything and never saw Aaron Judge do that before.
Well, unless it's somebody on the John Boy team, I really don't give any validity to it. But
do you think that Buck Martinez or his co-announcer is going to have to maybe make an apology today, or do you think they're not going to make an apology?
Yeah, they very well could. I know, Dan Schulman. He's a pro. He's a pro's pro. So if he feels it's appropriate, he'll do that. He'll be the first guy to do that.
I hope so, because it's really unsubstantiated, and this has become more than it really should be. I'm not really seeing enough evidence or even any evidence of wrongdoing for this to be such a conversation, and it just seems to be distracting from the whole thing. I know if I know it's Aaron Judge because he's like the MVP and stuff like that, but the fact that even if you try and tie him in with something like that, it's not right. And Sunil says here, John Boy Media is going to go full destruction mode in Schulman and Martinez. And so they should, because I actually think it's really unprofessional of both of them. You're saying they're very professional, but how professional is it without any evidence or any claim or any real reason to try and tie Aaron Judge into some sort of cheating when he just hit a hanging slider? It's as simple as that. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to go with Manoah, who's struggling with location, struggling with his slider, has now thrown 6 straight sliders down the plate, and Aaron Judge, the best player in baseball. What do you think is going to happen? It's going to go 600 feet, and that's exactly what happened. It doesn't take him looking to see where the catcher is. It doesn't matter where the base coaches is. It's a whole lot of nothing, and I think it's really distracting from the fact that he's an awesome player, and when you start trying to get him involved in something that he's not, it's going to get bigger and bigger and snowball. Other fans are going to jump in. Blue Jays fans are going to jump in, and then it takes away from how great Aaron Judge is, and it's wrong, and it needs to be stopped, and there should be an apology.
All right. Well, I mean, I think, there was a shot earlier in the game. I don't know if you had it on Yes Network or not, but where Judge was on the on-deck circle, he was making hand motions towards the dugout of like breaking ball, fastball, asking the dugout what they thought he was going to get or what was coming next. So I think that just played into it too. I think it's just
it's not uncommon.
All work together to cause some suspicion, and they expressed that right at the time.
Yeah, but that's not something that's uncommon. That's part of your responsibility of being. That's why you have an on deck circle. Part of your job for preparing for at bat is to study the pitcher and try to pick up on motions. That's why you get the opportunity to stand on the field like that. So I think that it's a little bit of a stretch. I think for the MLB headlines, because of who it is. It's kind of interesting to hear the various talking points on it, but it really is a non-story when you really cut it down to the basics.
Yeah, and I don't think just my personal take is that Aaron Judge didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. While we still have you, because I know you're on a little bit of a tight schedule, but the AL East as a whole. How are you feeling about the direction of the AL East compared to every other division in the league, National League as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the best division in baseball right now. I don't know how the Rays are doing what they're doing. I
Amazing.
I just think there's a Tampa Bay Rays algorithm that they've been working on for like a long time now, and I don't know if like AI is involved with this now or what, but they seem to make a lot out of nothing, and they're on a historic pace this year. But yeah, you hear talk about wanting to do away with divisions. I mean, I didn't think there'd be a pitch clock or bigger bases coming to baseball. So if I say something like, "Oh, they'll never get rid of divisions," who knows? I mean, I like divisions. I think they're great. But as a Jays fan, especially back in the 2000s, when every year it was the Red Sox and Yankees, and you just didn't even have a chance to get the wild card. So you felt like, oh, the Jays could have been first place in other divisions if they weren't in the East. So we've been living that dream. And then apparently there's been some Yankees talk on Twitter about now, because the Yankees are suffering from the quality AL East, that now they're talking about getting rid of divisions. But anyway, Jays have been living that dream for about 20 years now.
And how would you assess the Blue Jays this year? What strengths and weaknesses, and how far do you think they're going to go?
Oh, you thought I got eaten alive with the Aaron Judge tweet. I shoot up and spit out for doubting the Blue Jays bullpen. So I think the bullpen is built. It's fine for 162, especially the more even schedule. But when it comes to the best team's best guys, we saw it in the wild card series last year, where it just felt like our manager was managing from a place of desperation that we needed. Brought in our guy in the eighth inning, Romano in the eighth inning. And what if he falters? There's nobody left. And I love Jordan Romano, Eric Swanson. I think those are two great guys. I would prefer to see them as seventh and eighth inning guys rather than eighth and ninth inning guys. And the rest of the bullpen does really. Joe Carter coming out of retirement. But so bullpen is the weakest. I think everything else will be fine, except for, especially early in the season, we're given too many at bats to Brandon Belt while he was trying to figure out his timing. And I know he had a great week last week, but I just wonder if maybe he's nearing the end of his career before October comes.
Yeah,
so they need to up their bullpen in order for them to compete. Do you think they can win a World Series?
Yeah, I once again, I got eaten alive for this on Twitter, but I'm like, they need at least one big elite bullpen arm to be a force to be reckoned with in the postseason. If they don't get that, I just, as a fan, I love them to death and I want them to win. I just don't have the confidence that they have what it takes.
D-Rod asks, is Romano a legit closer?
Certain statistics would say yes. I think he's a great guy, great closer, great guy out of the pen, but I don't think people crap their pants when he's coming into the game. I don't think the opposition goes, "Oh my goodness, now it's done." Well,
I don't think baseball has many closers like that regardless.
Yeah, it's a great point.
The closer role has kind of really fallen to the wayside with all these different bullpen committees.
Thank you for keeping it real, Blue Jays Dad. Yeah, respect Blue Jays Dad. He is the man. Sunil, Paul Muller said he'd come out of retirement and help the Jays back to prominence. I mean, the Jays are pretty prominent. I think the Jays are actually really good.
Hey, Paul just lives up the street from me, so.
Oh, really?
Maybe
there
I
you go.
Get him right now and see if
just ask him. Okay, how would you? Right, prediction time. How do you predict the division turning out? 1 to 5.
Dang, that's such a I just think it's hard to tell. I can tell you what I hope. I hope the Jays Rays tank, and the Yankees' hearts are broken. And I hope the Red Sox realize that they're the trash that they are right now. You know, I mean, and I hope the Orioles don't do dumb stuff like surprise everybody with their young team. I think it's going to be. Have you seen the last couple of weeks of the season? The schedule for the Jays. All the Jays play are the Yankees for 2 series and the Rays for 2 series. So it'll come down to the final 2 weeks of the season.
But okay,
I actually do believe that the division will come down to the last week.
And
so you don't think the Rays are going to run away with it? You think the Rays, Jays, and Yankees are all going to compete? Do you think they're all going to compete for the same division, Blue Jays, Dad, in terms of winning it?
Yep.
I'm not sure if the Yankees are. I'll be honest. I don't think. I think the Yankees are a wild card team. I think the Jays have a good chance of maybe finishing second. At the moment, it looks like the Rays first, maybe Jays second, Yankees third. Just my opinion.
There's just so much that can happen when those three play each other. I mean, nothing can happen to the point where they split everything, or everything can change in a matter of a couple weeks.
I know.
What has been your take on, because Baltimore has been the surprise to some. Most of us, that are in this content world, we pay a little closer attention. We saw them coming up through the ranks. How do you take their play this year? Are they a team that's still? It's fun to watch them play well, but not taken seriously, or are they a contender in this division?
Have you guys played the Orioles yet?
Yeah.
Okay, we haven't. I don't think the Jays played the Orioles, so I haven't really seen them.
They're a very young team and aggressive, and
are they what they were the second half of last year? Are they still at that level?
No, they're at that level. Okay. And I think they've actually
better
started. Yeah, they've cleaned up a lot of their deficiencies, and they're clicking this year.
And that's where I just that's my fear. My fear is that Baltimore comes out of nowhere and creates a lot of havoc in the division.
I think it's safe to say they already have. I don't think they're in the place in the division by accident. It's really, they're legitimate. That's why I still think that, as much as last week, a lot of Yankee fans we were all screaming at the division was over because we just couldn't get our heads out of our ass. We couldn't hit the ball. We didn't know how to work a count. We have a manager that doesn't know how to manage, especially when it comes down to the bullpen. Bone just puts his hands up in the air, going, "I don't know," and so it's now when you're looking at it a week later, where everything's starting to tighten up a little bit, and everybody, I think every team in the East is in a rhythm right now. So I think you're going to start to see those ranks start to close up. And when it gets to the dog days of summer, it's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah, just look at these standings right now. Rays 31-11, Orioles 26-15. Then your Blue Jays right behind them, 24-17. Yankees 24-19, and the Red Sox are right there as well, 22-20. There's not an easy out in any of that five. And normally, the way that the Yankees got fat in previous years is ganging up on the Orioles, and the Blue Jays weren't too much a couple of years ago either, and that's how they couldn't get fat, but they can't really get fat anymore because everybody can beat everybody, and I think the Jays have got a stronger team than the Yankees, a stronger offense anyway.
No, I do think also the more what do you call it, balanced schedule.
Yeah,
I think that's where now the East goes and they get fat. They get fat off the rest of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But versus each other, it'll be a dogfight.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's what I was going to say. That I think the feasting on the division, I think, has kind of been taken away with the balanced schedule. But I also think that the balanced schedule with the competitive level that the AL East is on, I think they are just going to feast on everybody else. And it's just, it's really, that's why I believe, and I'm coming back to reality where the Yankees are not bottom feeders. They're going to figure things out. They're going to go on a run. The Rays are going to level out a little bit. They have not had a good week. Between the Orioles and the Yankees, it's not like they were going on a tear. So I still think that the division is in reach for any of the five teams.
Definitely.
Yep.
No. And Blue Jays Dad, give me some thoughts on the roster that you have. For us Yankee fans that don't watch them every day, How about you name one of these one player who's exceeded expectations so far this year?
For the Jays,
Yep.
I would say Whit Merrifield is just. I knew he had it in him. I think he's at that stage of his career where he's, when major leaguers have that window towards the end of their career where they got the wisdom and still enough strength left to like have a really good year or two. He's in that window right now. Why I think he should be in the lineup every day. And our management was kind of using Biggio and Espinal and Belt and all these different guys trying to give equal playing time. And I was a big advocate of get Whit on the field every single day and he'll flourish. As soon as they've done that, now he's in the league leaders of stolen bases. He's solidified himself in that lineup. I think he's batted even as high as 5th in the lineup. The guy is great. Also Kevin Kiermaier. It's just so awesome. I thank my lucky stars every day that he's on my team.
He's a defensive wizard.
Because we've been watching him for years break our hearts with his stupid stuff and all that when he was on the Rays. But I don't know if you've seen much highlights of him. He is alive with like a second life because he finally has fans behind him. He has crowds behind him. He's never had that with the Rays. And now he's got that with the Jays. And he keeps on saying he just wants to be the best 9th hitter in the league, setting the table for the superstars. And he's really been doing that. Lots of different ways that he makes a difference in the game.
Bro, he's batting .321. Unbelievable.
Yes. Yep.
With an OPS just under 900 and a wins above replacement at 2. My God.
Yeah, they just push the envelope in a good way for the rest of the team, saying, hey, we can do this. Like, we can get that extra base. We can make something happen without hitting a home run.
So,
D-Rod, Merrifield is like DJ LeMahieu. I completely agree because I've got a DJ jersey on right now. DJ LeMahieu. I view DJ LeMahieu and Merrifield are very similar players. They're very much ballers, all about business, pure baseball players, and great pure hitters. Like one of the best. Two of them, I think they're two of the best pure hitters in baseball.
Yeah, I think
old school.
They're in that category where their age doesn't show. They can still play on an elite level. Whether they're 22 or 32, they're still the same player. So I kind of think that they're in that category together.
Just that old school mentality and the ability to hit to all fields and the ability to make contact. It's just underrated, and there's not enough players like that. That's why Merrifield, when he went to the Jays, I was like, oh, that is a great, great pickup for them.
And it was under the radar move when it happened.
Yeah. And I can't believe it was an under the radar move because I remember on our podcast, we're always saying, we should look at Whit Merrifield. Like, this guy is a baller, man. He's fantastic. So you guys have got the benefit of him.
Another great surprise for the Jays has been Matt Chapman. He's more now like what we thought we were going to get last year, but he was to his hip surgery that he had last year. Now he's going to price himself out of the Jays. The Jays have not extended any of their guys. We don't have Vlad under an extension, Bichette, not Manoa. We don't have any guys signed beyond their free agent eligibility. So I think that there's not going to be the budget for Chapman. So this will be cheer him on this 1 year. And then I'm happy to see guys get paid. Just Rangers, I don't care. Get paid.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, man. He's batting. And there's another player that's batting over 300. You guys have got a bunch of guys that are hitting really, really well this year.
Yeah. So
and he's obviously one of them.
Yeah. Before we let you go, where can everybody find your podcast?
I haven't done one yet this year. Follow my Twitter. I do spaces from time to time after games. Those seem to be pretty popular when it's, something's really going on. And if the Jays there's a big transaction, usually I'll jump on a space as well. So just Twitter at BlueJaysDad. And you can follow my dog at Bo Parkett. He's been right here in the background. But you can follow Bo Barkshett as well. But otherwise, thanks for having me, guys. It's really fun. I actually enjoy talking to the opposition rather than like my own group, because it's just always
He's gonna yes, you did that.
I just hear about the other teams and see how we can rub some salt in the wound with some Aaron Judge criticism.
No, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and you're one of the good enemies of the Yankees.
You're a real one, man, and you know your stuff, and it's really good to talk to you. And you know what? I really like the Jays roster, and I've got a bunch of players that I really respect and I enjoy watching. So you guys got a really good team, and it'll be a really fun battle between the two of us. And hopefully, we'll have you on again once the intensity of the season continues to heat up, and maybe another matchup.
Yeah, and maybe that intensity heats up tonight. Who knows what's going to happen?
Hey,
carries on the field.
We're already there.
It's baseball. Anything can happen tonight.
Yeah.
But again, thank you, Blue Jays Dad. Always appreciate you coming on. Hope you enjoyed some of the comments. We want to thank everybody. Sunil, D-Rod, we saw Mazza in there, Jonathan, L.I. Yankee King. We appreciate you all. And as always, wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.